Yeah, you mentioned link building and also black hat SEO. Now, these days, I'm
Yeah.
sure everyone will claim to be white hat, but in the 10 or so years ago, there was how can I put this politically? The boundaries were quite it was quite broad in the approach that we could use. I would say pre Penguin, pretty much anything went, especially when it came to link building.
Yeah.
And these days, I find that yes, it's fine to say white hat, black hat. The reality, though, is it's very much dependent on the industry you're in, right? If you're in the
Mm.
gaming slash gambling industry, whether you like it or not, is very competitive. So you have to be very aggressive with your link building approach, and that might lead to a gray approach, let's say. Whereas
Mhm.
industry that's more content led, they tend to use or require less links, so they can classify themselves as white hat. What's your take on the whole white, black, and maybe even grey hat approach to SEO?
Yeah, so I think what you just said about the industry, it is so industry specific. I guess like a lot of things with SEO in a way. But yeah, like yeah, definitely. I think what again, if we had kind of like if we had different websites or different projects, and I was working on an e-commerce website and you was working on a gambling website, the deliverables and the activities we were carrying out in order to get results would be very different. And
Yep.
we would obviously have probably different, we would have very different ways of not justifying them, but ways of kind of, I guess, like even if we're like selling them to a client of how this is what we need to do to kind of, yeah, to see the returns that ideally we want to see. So, yeah, it's very interesting. And I think, yeah, I haven't, like I said, this was kind of going back some years. And I think, again, like it's so interesting as well how SEO has changed in that time, because obviously we mentioned kind of pre Penguin, or we say that, but it's not really all that long ago, but it's changed obviously
Yeah.
quite considerably.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite, and like I say, even like 10 years, it's kind of like I genuinely like, yeah, some of the links we were creating nowadays, like they would have been so low quality, but
Yeah.
it's just so like I don't know how many. Obviously, all industries have changed a lot in that time, but industry SEO has really kind of come on a lot. So yeah, so that's kind of what I find interesting there. And a lot of these were kind of like test projects for myself. So I think when I entered SEO, I just wanted to learn as much as possible, and I probably didn't even know there were different hats. I just kind of wanted to see what worked and what didn't, and then kind of probably went down some potentially wrong rabbit holes, or like yeah, like interesting rabbit holes, kind of different forums, and kind of brought packages just to see kind of whether what does this move the needle, and if so, kind of, yeah, what impact does it have? Because I think that's kind of, and that's a lot of the advice I give to like new SEOs as well. It's just like just try and test for yourself,
Yeah.
not necessarily to go like that extreme, but just
It's what
if you
makes a
want
good
to kind of
SEO,
rank,
right?
see what type of content. That's it. Yeah, that's it. And obviously, I think with time, unfortunately, as we move along, we maybe have less time to do that. Unfortunately, from like personal experience, but it's something I always try and like, yeah, still try and develop websites and test for myself.